The attacks on the president never end. One to the next to the next. We also have the NFL still in a kerfuffle. But I want to start with this lawyer Michael Cohen. I don't know this guy. Never met this guy. I've never talked to this guy. I've never corresponded with this guy. I don't know anything about him. But I am a lawyer. And I've never, ever taped a client. In fact, I've never taped anybody on the phone. But certainly would never tape a client. Raises very serious ethical issues in my view. Why would you tape a client? Unless you plan perhaps to use that information against them. Now, the presumption here is he taped President Trump, and he was discussing, that is, the lawyer Cohen and Trump, a payment to a Playboy, a Playboy starlet, who he may or may not had a tryst with. Why is this being leaked? Why is this being leaked? First of all, true or not, it's not a criminal matter. They say hush money. Hush money? What does that mean, hush money? You have these non-disclosure agreements. People sign them all the time. Companies sign them with employees who depart and receive severance in some cases. You have settlements of civil suits. You have non-disclosure agreements. You have all kinds of non-disclosure agreements and contracts that you sign. And you have a non-disclosure agreement apparently here. Why is that hush money unless we're going to call all of it hush money? Now, the media are very, very interested in Donald Trump's sex life. They never had any interest in Bill Clinton's sex life. They never had any interest in John Kennedy's sex life or Lyndon Johnson's sex life. They had very little interest in what was going on in Capitol Hill, and we later learned that the level of sexual harassment, we were told, was extensive and pernicious. We don't hear about that anymore. As well as in our pseudo-newsrooms across the country, as well as in Hollywood. But it's Trump that they're obsessed with. I think the people who raise these questions, I think the question should be asked of them, if they've ever stepped out on their marriages. Why not? It's like Trump shouldn't meet with Putin because Putin is a killing thug. Well, then why are we a member state of the United Nations, which is filled with genocidal maniacs? Why do we belong to the United Nations? Did you hear any of this when Obama went to Cuba and met with Raul Castro, a longtime bloodthirsty murderer of a genocidal police state regime? No, you never heard a thing. How about the Palestinians? Look at Hamas now. I'll get into that later. And even Abbas. Terrorists. Bloodthirsty, killing terrorists. Abbas and Hamas. But we're supposed to enter peace agreements with them and have a two-state solution. Which to me, for Israel, would be the final solution. So the left is always about capitulating to mass murders. Always about urging Republicans to do the same. They were thrilled when Richard Nixon met with Mao, 1976. Only Nixon, they said, could get away with it. It's considered a big deal. Ping-pong diplomacy, as I recall. Mao only slaughtered, 40, 50 million of his own people? So we don't need lectures from the buffoons out there, whether they're pseudo-conservatives or progressives, whether they wear media baseball hats or whether they're members of Congress or whether they're a conga line of goofballs, actors and actresses from Hollywood. Who cares what they have to say? Why are we a member state of the United Nations, considering how many genocidal maniacs belong to that institution, including Putin and Russia? If that's the test. The way you run foreign policy, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to take each situation on its own, maintain your principles, determine what's in the best interests of our country and our allies. That's pretty much how it's to be done. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. This Michael Cohen taping his clients. The media, the New York Times, the recipient of information about the taping. And people, I wonder what's on the tape. But very little about the ethics of a lawyer doing something like that. You know, ladies and gentlemen, when we go to a lawyer, you expect confidentiality. You expect attorney-client privilege. You expect the work product to be retained and protected as well. Otherwise, the entire justice system collapses. Now, the liberals understand this. They go into court all the time with mass murderers, defend them, and talk about the due process system and how the system is not fair and not just and not equal. But then when it comes to Donald Trump, you think they're acting like it's Mussolini, who they want to drag through the streets. So this Michael Cohen apparently is contemptible, absolutely contemptible. Now, this information got out because he wanted it to get out, or somebody he spoke to got it out, you know, Comey-like. And yes, it could embarrass the president, but there's nothing illegal about it. And also, I noticed Mr. Cohen had an interview with... Who did he have an interview with, Mr. Producer? Today. Al Sharpton. Who the hell wants an interview with Al Sharpton? See, he's trying to present himself and position himself as Mr. Cohen. Again, I'm not a special pleader. I don't know anything about the guy. As a bit of a loose cannon who has a lot of information. Because he's under criminal investigation for something. I'm not quite sure what it is. Medallions with taxi cabs or something like that. Which has nothing to do with the President of the United States whatsoever. I don't even know what the hell a medallion is for a taxi cab. Something else is going on here. Unrelated to Trump, unrelated to Russia. Something else is going on here. But nobody wants an attorney who tapes his or her clients. That's just plain sleazy.